All right, so this is a nice light session, nothing too deep, nothing too heavy. Um, we're going to talk about the Power Apps data table control. I didn't update with the new space, so envision the space in Power Apps. All right, so why are we talking about this? We're talking about it just because it's a control that's got a lot of power. And we just want to make sure that folks are aware of what's out there, aware of what you can do very quickly. So we'll walk through that. We'll walk through that this morning, and then we'll talk about a few things that are different between the older version of this control and the newer version, because there is a new version out there that's by default it's hidden, it's turned off. But I'll reference you to the blog post on where you turn that on and kind of talk about that as we get into it. So just to give you a quick background, my name is Wes Preston. I'm a SharePoint MVP, so that my background is coming from the SharePoint side. And when I'm working on that SharePoint side, my focus, my sweet spot is really working with teams, organizations, and down to the team level where they're trying to build solutions. They're trying to use the Microsoft platform to be more effective in their day-to-day job. So instead of, when I say SharePoint, that used to be this really broad topic set. But I'm talking about where we're building solutions, where we might use one list, multiple lists, and then kind of stack different pages together to build a solution. Power Apps is now sliding into that space and being a really good option for us because we can pull in data from outside of SharePoint, from multiple tables inside of SharePoint, and do a lot of things that we couldn't do in the past. The data table fills that space pretty nicely. So that's the perspective I'm coming from. Not going to read that to you. That's why you're here. But why are we talking about this? As I mentioned earlier, it's a super fast and easy control to get you up and running. A lot of the marketing behind Power Apps was about forms, which is good. That is definitely one of its strengths and one of the things that we, from the SharePoint perspective, we're really excited about. But there's a lot more to it than just forms. That's why we're talking about this particular control. This control is going to give us basically the capability to do what we would in the past in SharePoint, or we still do, building views, right? So a view is basically defined as a table of information, which columns do we want to look at, and then in terms of the rows, how do we want to filter it, sort it, and kind of go through those things. A data table is going to enable us to kind of replicate that very, very quickly. Some of the benefits to that from the SharePoint perspective is that we can take our data that's historically been, I don't want to say stuck in a list, but taken mobile, right? So we do have the SharePoint mobile app, but if we want to build a Power App, that's something that's very distinct, and it's very easy for us to spin up a Power App, go directly to that Power App, and get to our data a lot faster. And you can build apps that are really just to push data out. So a lot of my clients really just want access to that data that's in a SharePoint list somewhere when they're out and about, so that they don't have to log in via the web, kind of work their way through it on their tablet. They just want the data. So that's where a Power App is going to be very, very quick for them. The other thing, too, is that this is a great entry-level control for folks. So if you're trying to figure out what is Power Apps, how do I use Power Apps, how do I get started, this is a great way to start because you can drop it on a page. You can get experience with things like connections. That's the data that you're connecting to. You can start to connect that control with other controls. You can start playing with formulas in terms of being able to filter and sort the different things that are being displayed. So it's a great way to start. It's a good way for us to ramp up. The other thing that makes this really useful for us, especially in the SharePoint world and now in the Teams world, is that in SharePoint, we've got a Power Apps web part. So if I build a view or if I build a control, wake up my demo machine. If I build a control, I can turn around and I can drop it right back into a SharePoint page. So if my users are really comfortable there, they can stay there. I can still give them the full Power App experience within the SharePoint space. Now with Teams, it's even easier to put a Power App into a Teams tab in that experience. So in SharePoint, I have to drop a web part on a page, super easy, and I have to go get this ID from the Power App. Not hard, but a little bit irritating. Over in Teams, I can just say, oh, we're all in this tenant. let's start up a tab, and then it goes, oh, here's all your Power Apps. Bing, you're done. No IDs, no nothing. It just works. So it's really pretty slick. So how does this thing work? This is one example. This is in more of the phone format, where you would normally put it onto a tablet format if you're going to use it on the PC. So if you're going to use it inside of SharePoint or inside of Teams, you'll probably do the other layout. But for what I want to show, this is nice and handy. And you're going to see, we'll drop in there so you can see how easy it is on the demo machine once we get there in a second. But this is the control. There's nothing else on the page right now. So by default, you're getting something that looks very similar to where we're coming from in the SharePoint world, right? It looks very similar to a field, or I'm sorry, to a view. And then as you continue to tweak it, this is literally just going and grabbing the data. I've done nothing else to it. I've pointed it to, all right, let me back up. I've pointed it to my SharePoint list. I have identified the fields that I want to display. And I think that was it in this case. Yep, so I'll add on to it from there. So you can see that there's headers up there, so I'll be able to adjust those as well. But as I go through, so this is unsorted data. It's going and grabbing the data. I can add a filter in the formula, right? So I can say I want to order it by this. So boom, all of a sudden it's nice and easy to see. Now where it starts to get a little bit more powerful is when I add additional controls to the page, right? So I can add a control where there's a drop down, so I can pick which model I want to see, and then connects by a filter into my data table. So again, I'm getting more and more power the more I add things on. How many folks here grew up with Access? Okay, that look familiar? I've got a table in the top, and I have more detail fields at the bottom. We're right back to where we were before. That particular part is a good thing, right? The rest of it, the stealth solution under a desk somewhere, is not where we want to go. But it's very familiar for those of us that came from that world. And being able to work with these controls and tie these controls together, the formulas that you're going to be writing are very similar to what you might have seen in Excel. A lot of the functionality, a lot of the controls are very similar to what we have seen in the past in Access, and that's because a lot of the folks that were on those teams are now on the Power Apps team. So it's a very familiar place for us. But you can see basically we've got 3 types of controls on here, and I've got a lot of power. With that data table control, I don't have to show everything, right? I don't have to be in an Excel spreadsheet and show me all of the fields that I have. I can pick the ones that are relevant, and then I can use the whole, what I refer to as kind of the Access way of doing things to get the additional information that I want on there. Now, this control is really powerful, but it's still somewhat limited. I can do things like I can display the fields that I choose. I can change the header fields if I want to, and I'll show you that control here in a minute. And I can do, with the new version of the control, I can do a little bit more tweaking of what the data is that's in those columns. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But that's kind of the limitation. So I get a lot of power and a lot of speed with the data table. But again, I'm somewhat constrained today. I'm hoping they're going to continue to build on that. And if you actually go out to the reference page for this control, it has a kind of mini roadmap of things that they have on their list that they're hoping to add to it. So and I have a link to that in the references. So hopefully they'll continue to build on this and maybe give us even more power than we had. I'd love to see something like conditional responses in the view, so I can say this row needs to be read because of some field. I don't have that today. If you were in Power Apps and you wanted to do something like that, you can basically take a gallery, which is the traditional, it's almost the card way of looking at things, and make it look a lot like this. It just takes a lot of work to do that. Just make a nice narrow one and wide one, and then it'll repeat and look like rows. So you can still get the conditional formatting if you really needed to. But again, the power with this control is the speed and the ease of being able to get data out the door quick. So, all right. So we'll jump over to the other one so you can see just a few more of the details. And, all right, that is really tiny. But I think what I wanted to show you basically was that control in a little bit in action there. Yay, I still have Wi-Fi. All right, so I'm just doing something super simple. I've got static values in that dropdown. I can make that control more dynamic if I wanted to. I can also do something that's a little different. If I wanted to have a control that had something that was more readable, right? If instead of having my users pick values, I can say, choose this view, right? I want to be able to say, order it by this with this filter. And then I can take the formula that's needed for that behind the scenes and feed that data control. So it doesn't have to be, here's a control, here's a control, here's a control, each one's tied to data. I can wrap all that together behind the scenes. So we can start to get pretty powerful from an end user perspective. And then as I'm clicking around, you can see that I've got my access-like control, right, down at the bottom. These controls at the bottom, I can do the conditional formatting for, right? I've got full control over those down there. I just don't have the view in that big data table of saying like this row is yellow, this row is green. But I can get get that same attention as they're clicking through. So just something to think through there. And if I look at the controls for that, and the formulas for that, it's really super simple. I've got the data table and the selected item. Does not take a lot of effort there. There are some places inside of Power Apps where if I want to tie things together, it gets a little bit, I don't want to say harder, but there's just a little bit more effort that's required. This is not one of those areas. This is super easy. Here I've got the static value, but I want to show you. Oh, here's one thing that I don't like about this control is my intuition is to go down here and start clicking around, but I'm going to get fields. If I want to get the whole table, I still have to go over to the tree view. A little irritating when you first get in there, but just something to remember. You can, if you click on the tree view version of the control, you can get the whole control. And what I wanted to show you was the items formula. So this is an example of where I filtered it, and I'm filtering it based on the previous control. So that drop-down one is that control up above. So again, the tie-in between that drop-down to filter and the actual data table is super simple. This is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys about that today. The other thing I wanted to show you while we're in the demo environment is the difference between the current version and it used to be called experimental and now it's preview, I think. So this is the current one, and this is the new one. They look very similar. What you're going to notice is that the properties changed just a little bit. What they really did was they kind of brought the new control up to speed and consistent with the rest of the controls that are in our suite. And the most important part there is having this text field. This text field is what's going to give us more control over the data that's in those columns. Here, I really can't do anything to the data. I can choose the fields that are there, but there's no property that I can use. I can change the display name, which is already a half a step above what I could do in SharePoint, right? If I wanted to do that inside of SharePoint, I would have to use client-side rendering or some JavaScript in order to get that header. So if my users, or if those of us that are kind of riding that user-developer area, we might name fields like a developer names fields, but not always great from a user perspective, right? So this gives us the ability to go in there and change the display name. But there's nothing else I can do to control those fields. Over here, I get a text property. Now I've got control over it a little bit. Where this comes in, conditional formatting down the road hopefully will give us control here. But where this really gets nice, and I don't have a date field in this particular table, but or in this list. But it'll give us data, and now I can format that and say, hey, I want my date field to look like this, right? And we've got 50 different ways that we can display dates. I can control that. But I can also do things like a calculated field inside of SharePoint where I can merge fields together. So if you look at this one, all right, so just to see it again, in the formula, my second column is really just showing the description field. My first column, I threw a formula in there. And what I'm doing is I'm basically concatenating some values, right? So if it's I'm saying if my model is this number, then I want to display this text in there, and then I'm concatenating it. So I can play at the end all be all story is that I can play with the text a little bit. If I really wanted to mess with people, I could put a static value in there, even to overwrite other things, right? So there's a lot of things I could do. If you think back to what you might have done with client-side rendering or JavaScript on the SharePoint side when you were tweaking this data, that's kind of the control that you have over the columns in this one. So let's jump back over here and make sure I'm hitting all my topics. All right. Oh, I didn't show you how to enable it. I'm going to jump back. I don't want to miss that. Sorry to be jumping all over the place, but I don't want to miss this one. All right. So I went, just so you can see that again, I went back to the backstage, settings, advanced settings. So under preview features, there it is. Enable improved data table control selection and value property. So that's where you turn it on to get the new features. Now, as you saw on the one app that I have an old one and a new one at the same time. Depending on what mode this switches in is what you will get when you say insert a data table. So if you want to start with an old one, if you want to do exactly what I did right there, don't turn this on yet, drop a data table on, then come in here, turn it on, go back and drop another data table on. Make sense? Okay. They have a blog post out there and it says it's down in experimental. So just note, it's not down in experimental, it's up in preview. So I guess it's getting upgraded. So we're almost ready for GA maybe. So that's where you can get that to turn on. All right. So I think I've probably covered a lot of this stuff as we were talking through it. But so you can enable the new version really easily. I have a link at the end in references to how you can get the blog post that talks through it. Most of the stuff that they've changed is the consistency thing and then having that text property. So you have a lot more control over it. But the other thing that I was kind of excited about, like I mentioned earlier, is if you go to back to the reference page, you'll see some of the other things that they're working on. No ETA. Maybe they'll tell us a little bit more soon, but there are some pretty neat features that are coming up. All right, and I kind of walked right through that already. So there are my references. Like I said, this was going to be pretty light. Is this useful to folks? Did you guys know how to use this before? All right, that's what I was after. So nice and light for the morning. Thank you guys for coming. I'll be sticking around if you have questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and safe travels back home. Thank you.